Morning, welcome. Paula here for this therapeutics practice. We will be doing a restorative yin infused practice today with a focus on opening up the side body. So we will be getting into the sideways, the back, and the hips a little bit. Do have all of your favorite props handy. So I've got a bolster, a couple of blankets, and a strap. You may want to have some blocks available as well. Depending on the temperature of your room, maybe you want to have socks, maybe an extra blanket or sweater. Yeah, so let's get started. Join me in supported butterfly pose, please, or reclining Supta Baddha Konasana. I have my bolster set up here already with a folded blanket at the back just to support my neck. And I'm going to use my two blocks on the sides to support me under my knees or under my hips. So soles of the feet together, knees wide, settling in. Gentle reminder on a restorative take to practice. It's really not about going big or deep. We really just want to create an opening, a release in the body, in the mind. It's really about creating space with the breath, for the breath, maybe for the mind. Just taking the first few minutes here to settle in, quiet down. And hopefully begin to just loosen our grip a little bit. Now, depending on how your shoulders and chest are feeling today, or maybe depending on where your neck is at, you might see about floating your arms out to the sides a bit more. So, this might be more of a T position. It might be something like a soft cactus, maybe a soft diamond. So, just kind of see where things are at there. I always like to just kind of open up my chest and shoulders. My shoulders are often tight. So, yes, if you do spend time in front of a computer, if you do a lot of driving or both, this can be helpful to open just the front part of the body that can tend to end up in a bit of a closed position throughout a big part of our day. Inviting the breath to move into this area. And let's find an inhale to reach our arms overhead at whatever angle works for you, kind of like a morning stretch. Exhale, bring the knees together. Bring the arms down. I thought I knew what was happening next, but let me just check my notes. Oh yeah, okay. So from here, we are going to roll to one side. Just an easy little set. We're pushing up just so we can set ourselves up for a supported forward twist, right? So I'm going to use my same bolster setup, just inching forward. I'm going to start on my forward twist on my left side, right? So I'm sitting on my left hip. I've got my left thigh parallel to the left edge of to the bottom edge of my bolster. Depending on how twisty you're feeling today or not, you might just stack your knees or you might keep your legs somewhat staggered here. So, hands on either side of your bolster. Take a nice big inhale, lengthen the spine, turning the chest towards your bolster, keeping the spine nice and long as you release down, left cheek resting. And then adjust your arms accordingly. So you might be sliding the hands more forward. Depending on that back shoulder, you might slide the back hand. So for me, that's the left arm downward alongside your body, or leave it as is. Coming into that lengthening experience here, hopefully. So we want to create some length down this upside of the body. And again, just continuing to use breath to create some space, softness. So, as I mentioned, we are going to get into some maybe hip opening a little bit, just depending on where your bottom side is at. It might feel nice to extend your bottom leg like towards the wall that you're facing. So, you might sort of wiggle walk that leg outward. You could also slide your top arm a little farther forward. Breathing into that side waist, side body. Just a couple more breaths here. Eventually, just sliding both hands back so they're under your shoulders. Slide that left foot under and then pressing up. And from here, just getting those knees under you so you can walk over to the other side. Sitting on your right hip or your opposite hip, whatever side. So hands either side of the bolster. Again, inhaling for length, keeping the spine long as you release down. Opposite cheek resting. And settling in here. Again, you're taking a few breaths here at first and just seeing if there's any adjustments you need to make. And then if there's space on this side to see about maybe extending your bottom leg, opening that hip, or maybe you're extending your top arm, your left arm, just opening up that side a little bit more. I'm just going to scoot myself over a bit more. And take a couple more breaths here. Sliding the hands back under the shoulders. Gently pressing up as you're ready. All right. So now we're going to, actually, I think it's best if we turn our bolster setup to go across. Well, we may want to keep this blanket here for some extra support. So I'm just switching it around. I'm going to come on to hands and knees. And just for a little reset here, if you'd like, join me here, hands and knees. We're going to move through a couple of cat-cows just to kind of, again, reset the spine, move the breath through the body. So inhaling to open the heart, float the tail, stretch the belly. Exhale, curl and round. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, curling and rounding. Look at the belly. Inhale to look up. And exhale to curl. One more. And curl. Inhale to neutral. And exhale here. All right. So we're going to come into deer pose, which is known, which is the yin name, or 90-90 or 45-45, couple of variations here. So there's a few things we can do with this pose. So I'm starting on my left side or my left hip. So I've got my left shin about parallel with my bolster setup, right shin parallel-ish with the long edge of my mat. So you can take this pose as is, or yeah, if you're kind of doing more of a 45-45, right, you're kind of just adjusting this however. If this is not serving you because of just how your hips are built or shaped, you might be coming into something like easy seat, right? Like an easy seat pose or a cross-legged pose. So just crossing one leg in front of the other, and just take note which one you're starting with. So this might be your pose here instead. It's just, again, might feel a little bit better based on how your body is built. You're still going to get a hip stretch out of it. You know, you can start leaning forward. You can always add blocks if you need to bring these props a bit higher to you and take your forward bend from there. You are coming into this deer pose, 90-90 or 45-45. All the weight is on your front hip. And then as you're ready, you can lean forward and down. Adjusting this, however, as well. So the more centered you keep your chest, so the closer you keep it to the midline, typically the more intense we feel this in the hip or in the glutes. If you need to dial that back, you can always bring your chest more over the knee, and that should feel a little less intense. So do adjust this. We're just giving this about 3 minutes. Of course, you can always come out sooner. Another variation to this is coming onto your back for thread the needle. So that is also an option. Again, we're looking to get a little bit of feedback from that outer left side, the hip, glute, maybe the outer thigh, or whatever side you have forward. We're not looking for anything super intense. It's keeping the breath easy and long. Last couple of breaths here. And gently pressing up. Now, just before we fully come out of this, we might just rise up, maybe pause, maybe assess the situation with this back thigh if you're in this position. So if you want to enjoy a nice opening into the thigh, like I always like to, I'll invite you to join me. So I'm just kind of leaning back here into my left hand, getting into this right thigh a little bit, depending on this knee, yeah. So it might feel a little better on the knee though if we position it um, forward, right? So if we point it more forward into a more traditional Virasana pose with the toes pointing back and the knee lining up with your hip socket. So you can experiment with that. Just kind of see what serves you best. So now I'm leaning into both hands and just being gentle, being easy, right? This might be your pose. Maybe you're over it and you're just chilling in whatever position serves. An easy way to add more could be to just place your left foot on the floor and then kind of lift your hips a smidge and curl your tail under, like tuck your tail, and then release down. Easy way to just get into those quads. Couple of breaths. Also, really nice way to just stretch out the shin a little bit, the ankle, the top of the foot, and the toes. Oftentimes, an area we don't think about stretching very much. Okay, when you're ready, I just like to lean over to the left here, straighten out that leg, give it a little 1-2 wiggle, and then we'll switch sides. So we're coming into deer pose here on the other side. For me, that's my right. So I'm leaning all the way onto my right hip, finding that 90-90 position or 45-45. Making sure my props are where I want them to be. Again, for something more intense, you're just going to line up with the midline and come straight ahead. Less intense, you can start by going over your front knee a little bit. So that can oftentimes buy a bit more space in your hip. Sometimes it's nice to start, or almost always, it's nice to start with less, right? And then add on. Just kind of checking in with the situation. See where your knee is at. And then, yeah, as you're ready for more, you can dial into it. And then, gentle reminder if you were just, again, depending on the shape of your body, how all of your bones fit together, maybe you're doing this in the easy seat or cross legged formation. So you're just on the opposite side, other leg crossed in front, or maybe you're in thread the needle on your back. Using breath to soften and release. Maybe checking in with your face, reminding your jaw to soften. Adding a few exhales out the mouth here. And then somewhere within the next breath or two, begin to press up. And then just see about opening up this left side or your back thigh or hip. So again, it could be just like really gentle. Maybe you're just kind of leaning onto your right side and that's all that's happening. If you do want to get into the thigh a little bit more, and we're just keeping that knee safe, you want to line the knee up better with your hip, yeah? So best to just point that knee straight ahead. See if you can tuck the top of the foot under so your toes are pointing back. All this is kind of personal preference though, so does depend on how that feels on your shin, your ankle, toes. Mm-hmm. Maybe you press the right foot into the floor. This can also help to just kind of keep your hips nice and even as well. So you can lift the hips a smidge, give the tailbone a bit of a tuck. Yeah, let's breathe into that thigh. All right, and then nice and easy. We're going to come out of this. Maybe just lean over to your right. Straighten out that leg. Give it a little wiggle, reset. Okay. So we're going to come to a seated position. We're going to work with either cross legs, easy seat, or square pose. So again, it just kind of depends what's happening, what's available in your hips. I'm going to sit on a folded blanket. I just always feel like that feels best in my hips and my lower back when I'm doing seated poses. I am going to give square pose a go. My hips are just feeling kind of tight and sore today. So I'm going to grab a second blanket. Sometimes if you have like a soft block or if you have something like a peanut or something, or yeah, maybe an extra blanket or towel, you can see what you got. This can be a little helpful. So I'm gonna start, so I'll mirror you. So if you want, you can do like a left leg on top, or just take note what you're starting with first, and then you want to do opposite. So if you are coming into square pose, you really want to work on lining up ankles and knees. So this is just best for hip and knee alignment. You can see I've got a little bit of space here between my ankle and knee, so I'm going to slide this peanut underneath, or maybe it's a towel or a blanket. Sometimes a block is just fine too. So this is the pose we're going for. If this is just not serving, then yeah, you can just drop that top leg in front, so it's more of an easy seat pose. So I'm going to pause here. We're going to give this one maybe about a minute or so, and there's going to be options to change it up, add on or not. Just some easy breaths here. You can press into the hands to lift the heart and still find length through the spine. You want it to be less effort. Just kind of relax into it. Okay, so from here, depending on what's available, we're going to see about adding in like a little bit of a twist. So I have my bolster set up here on the opposite side to what leg is crossed on top. So I'm twisting towards the opposite side, just pressing my hands into the bolster, but I'm still trying to stay nice and tall. So, it could be like a little twist. You might be able to turn all the way towards that bolster with both hands. So it just kind of depends. Maybe you're even getting one hand behind you so you can really use that as a nice kickstand to stay nice and tall. So this definitely does add to the hip response here, the hip opening in the glutes in the back. It certainly adds to the side waist opening. Giving this a few breaths here. Lastly, only if available, right? Maybe there's space to kind of deepen this. You might be able to bring forearms, elbows closer to the bolster. Maybe you add blocks to bring the prop closer to you. It definitely adds, obviously, a little bit more to that back body opening to the hip opening. Maybe it's just for a couple of breaths. And somewhere within the next few breaths, begin to rise up, unwind. Mhm. Maybe lean back, uncross. Perhaps take a couple of wipers. And then we'll take that same pose on the other side. And, especially because we're working with hips, you might be doing a different pose on this side, right? So just because you did, square on the other side may not mean that you're doing the exact same square right on this side. So this hip may have a totally different, history or shape, so just be easy with that. So for me, I have a little less space with this leg crossed on top. So adding props, or maybe again, you're crossing your front leg over for easy seat. So we're starting here, just staying long, breathing into this hip, this position, this side. And just making sure that our ankles are feeling fine through this. Again, our knees are giving us the green light. And from here, we are going to see about adding on that little twist. So it could be a half twist, quarter twist, whatever's available. Maybe you're just using a hand behind you to stay lifted. You could turn all the way. Maybe you're placing hands on that bolster setup. And just noticing what changes, noticing how adding this twist has deepened the experience in that outer hip, the glutes. Again, only if it sounds like a great idea. You might see about deepening this, seeing if you can come down onto forearms or elbows. Perhaps you add more height with props. So yeah, for me, this is just a tighter side. So I'm just gonna fold up my blanket, and that just kind of gives me a little bit more height on this side, so I can actually kind of lower down a little bit. And somewhere within the next couple of breaths, gently begin to press up. Excuse me, we're going to lean back, uncross, take a couple of wipers. Yeah. And then, pretty sure I just have some resetting, finishing poses coming up here next. Right. Okay. So from here, have a blanket handy near the back of your mat. We are going to come into a reclining position, but do have your bolster or a block handy. We're actually going to come into elevated bridge just for a moment. So be mindful here as you release down. So you're going to hold on to the backs of your legs. Once you release down in your call, if you want to do just a really light elevated bridge, maybe you're using a folded blanket. I'm going to use my bolster. Maybe you just have a nice soft block you can use. So once you're here, do lift your hips, slide the bolster underneath your sacrum. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to lift the feet. So I always kind of re-wiggle once I get my feet lifted, just so I feel like my sacrum is nice and supported. Yeah, we're just reaching those legs up. Maybe flex, point, rotate through the ankles and toes. Just some nice little resetting here. I always like to let my knees go soft, so I really kind of give my quads a chance to just really kind of hang loose from the bones as best they can. And then bend your knees and let your knees hang into your chest here for a second. And then we'll place the feet on the floor. Pausing here for a moment. Just a supported bridge pose. And then as you're ready, we'll lift the hips, push the prop down or out of the way. I always like to elevate my feet for a breath or two. I'm just placing my feet on top of the bolster. And then I'm going to slide this blanket under my head for some support. Taking any kind of finishing poses you'd like, maybe a couple of wipers, maybe a hug, maybe a little rocking side to side for a little back massage. Perhaps a couple of breaths in a reclining twist. Eventually making your way to your neutral uh, relaxation position or final relaxation pose, whatever that is today. So it might be legs elevated, something under the knees. Maybe you want to do legs up the wall or legs over a chair or whatever you'd like to do. Is anything that supports the body, allows you to soften and melt into the earth. Inviting the eyes to close, sinking deep into their sockets, and softening that space between the eyebrows, all the skin of the face. Relaxing the lips, the throat, the jaw. Heart centers open, the belly soft, the fronts of the legs release, tips of the toes let go. Inner ears release, outer ears relax. Sides of the neck, shoulders, upper, lower arms, hands and fingertips let go. Back of the head melts down. Neck is long. Upper back, mid and lower back releases. Backs of the legs strip down. Soles of the feet let go. And they begin to deepen the breath, waking the body. Wiggle fingers, toes, maybe take a stretch. Eventually roll to one side, pressing to a seated position. Sitting tall for a moment. Sealing our practice together with one Om. Palms together, one hand on top of the other over the heart center. Inhaling now. Ah. Thank you for sharing your practice. May we live like the lotus flower at home above the muddy water. Namaste. All right, thanks for joining.